funny. All right, should we roll?
I think we're good.
Dude, I'm super pumped. I know we're already recorded, but I'm super pumped we're doing this. Like, I am committed. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm saying I'm doing Fridays. Like, yeah, maybe you have a meeting or something, we got to reschedule.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm committed to doing this. And, like, in past years with stuff like this, I might have been like, yo, like, let's just do it Monday or Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah.
No. Tonight, like, podcast night.
Well,
It's what we do.
Even there, I don't schedule meetings this night because this is what we do every
Yeah.
other Friday. This is where we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, super pumped. We are recording. Welcome back to Embrace the Store podcast. You can chop that up however you want. We are talking about measuring this evening and not what you think. Don't go there, gentlemen. We are, one of the shorts that this past couple of weeks that has kind of hit the top in terms of watch was this idea we put forth on, I think, the last podcast or the one before, of if you want stuff to change, you got to measure. You have to have a baseline. You have to know where you're going. That was what the short was kind of talking about. And check it out on YouTube. But what I thought would be fun tonight is whether we go short or long, just kind of talking through each one of the 5 key health indicators and how either A, we do measure, or B, you and I should be measuring. Because I'm looking at some of these areas and I definitely don't do the best job at measuring.
Well, let's talk about let's name the 5 key health indicators first. So,
Good call.
there you go.
So, 5 key health indicators for life. It's something that I came up with, sort of a framework to live life by. So we've got physical health, spiritual health, mental health, relationship health, and business health. And for a breakdown, I put those on the website in terms of what I think they mean or what they mean to me. You can check that out too. But I also believe that this is kind of the quote-unquote right order, right? You got to get your physical health right, your spiritual health right. They're at the top of the list. And then relationships and business come after that. But anyways, so what we'll do tonight is we're going to start with physical health. I feel like that's the layup here. How do we measure that? You and I are both knee deep in that.
Yeah.
Have a good handle on that for ourselves. So I figured what we do is just, why don't you walk through how you measure both nutrition, because we've talked a bit about that here, but also your workouts.
Yeah. So nutrition, it's downloading MyFitnessPal or Lose It, which is another one. Or
That's the one you use,
That's
right?
the one I use.
Yeah.
I like it. It's free.
Yeah.
It's whatever, right?
Yeah.
But so that's how you track your food. And the key is being honest. It
Yeah.
sucks sometimes because
Go back and listen to some of the other podcasts.
yeah, it's when you say it's a tablespoon or you say it's a cup of or when you say it's about 3 ounces when it's actually
Yeah.
5. Like you got to be honest with it
Yeah.
because if you're gonna track it properly. And then physical workouts and such. I have an app that I have all my workouts on. I have somebody that creates everything for me.
Like it's programmed.
It's all programmed.
Yeah.
I have a program I follow.
Yeah.
It gets changed up every once in a while. Right now I'm doing one that really sucks, but it's good for me, I'm sure, in some way. But
That's why it sucks.
Yeah,
It's
right.
good for you.
but it's all tracked and then it's measured and I can see
Yeah.
what I did last week. I can see what I did
What's
5
the app?
weeks. Train Heroic or something. It's his app, like not his, but it's a generic app that you
That he programs
that he
into.
programs into.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
I like that historic, bro.
yeah, so I
Like-
could see like
Like my deadlift, my 1 rep max is 90 pounds
Yeah.
last week. This week it's 110. Like being able to see that contrast,
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that.
so then you can see the growth, you can see how you're doing there, right?
Yeah.
And then so tracking that. Also, everybody has a watch or
Yes.
a ring or whatever they have, right? That you can, or if you don't have one, I mean, Amazon, $30, you can get a cheap watch. Tracks your steps, right? How many steps are you getting? Whatever your goal
Which
is.
it's crazy. It's crazy. I didn't realize until probably about a year ago how important it is to actually get those steps in.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware, talking about baselines, you have to be aware of what your walking baseline is.
Yeah.
So, for example, my one brother, for his old job, he used to walk 12,000 steps a day or something crazy. I
Yeah.
don't remember what it was, but it was crazy. It was up around that 10,000 mark just for his job.
Yeah.
Well, that's your baseline. You're not getting any. At first, you are. At first, you get some
Right.
some calisthenic or some fitness, health out of it. But at a certain point, it becomes your baseline, and then you don't do any more, so then you're not getting any extra benefit out of it, right?
Right.
And so, what I find interesting with the watch, because I do the same thing for that, and I'll go through what I do in a minute here, but is using your watch, looking at it daily at the end of the day, and going, oh, my baseline was 3,000 steps, 4,000 steps, whatever. So that means you have to be getting more.
Yeah.
And most of these apps, you can create goals and fun things like that.
Yep.
So, yeah. So you use Lose It.
Yep.
To track your food, your macros, all that good stuff. You use some generic.
So even there, for
Okay.
just to go back to
Yeah.
food, we often think, oh, it's got to be this complicated thing, right?
Yes.
So what it doesn't, right? Now, if you want to keep it simple, right now, all I'm concentrating on calories
Yep.
and protein.
Yep.
So if I'm hitting my calories, I'm hitting my protein, you know what? That's a win.
Yep.
I will worry about my carbs and my fats later, but right now, that's all I'm going to concentrate on.
Because you're getting dialed in.
Yeah, because I need to be consistent at this, right?
Gotcha.
Right? If I can be consistent.
Yep.
When I start getting too technical, then I start falling apart because I'm failing, right? So right now, that's where I'm starting. It's working. I'm losing. Things are happening, right?
Yeah.
I'm still building muscle. I'm still getting
Yeah.
my protein's high, right? So that's all I'm tracking. Whether you're doing that,
Yeah.
some people want to do carnivore. Well, then you don't necessarily have to track nearly as much
Yeah.
with that, because then if you're doing that, or if you're doing keto, but then you probably still want to track keto.
Yeah.
There's different diets people do. Whatever you could.
We're not health professionals. We're not giving advice.
Not a chance.
Check with your doctor if you want to make changes to what you have going on.
Doctor, I don't know.
Disclaimer for the evening.
Yeah.
No, what I tell people when I talk to them about this, I actually love this topic. I get super tooled up about it. Is spend a week tracking your food without changing anything.
Yeah.
And see how many calories, how many fats, all these things that you actually put into your mouth. Super interesting.
Yeah.
And we've talked here before, and I've just generally, you and I've talked, like I've done this before, where I've just said, screw it, caution the wind. I don't focus on hitting numbers or anything like that. I just eat food,
Yeah.
track it, and then at the end of the week I go, oh, that's a lot of food that I just put in my mouth. But I think that the biggest thing is to track for a week, see what you actually eat, and then start dialing the numbers.
Yeah. And
different coaches will have different ways of doing things. The way I like to structure it is do that week just freewheeling, but track.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we start looking at it and we start dialing it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're right. It gets most people, not all people, some people like getting geeky about it, but most people get overwhelmed when you go, hey, track your food. Then they immediately go to 10. And they're like, do I have to bring a scale to work with me? Do I have to bring it to the restaurant with me? How do I do this? Do I have to have measuring cups in my purse?
Right.
Those sorts of things. And what I say and what I've done for myself is do the best you can.
Yes.
So at home, yeah, I use a 1 cup or quarter cup, and I measure things up.
Yeah.
At home, I have a scale, a food scale. My wife bought it because she makes buns, right? So whatever. But I use it for meats and other things. But when I go to a restaurant, or tonight we were at the fair uptown, it's the weekend fair here where we live.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a scale with me. I didn't bring measuring cups. I just looked at the food I was eating, made a judgment call. Now, to be fair, some of that is learned over time.
Absolutely. But these apps all have different sources. So if it's also like McDonald's, they'll have that in there. If
Yep.
it's
100%.
if it's gonna be like
100%.
whatever.
I went to a one-off barbecue joint, so I had to make a call.
So you use something like Montana's,
I did.
or whatever. Like you're just
And I did. And what I did is I searched up what I ate, and I was like, that looks about right.
Yeah.
It's not the highest, it's not the lowest. It's kind of in the middle. Because you're right.
Yeah.
MyFitnessPal especially is terrible for that. You got to watch, make sure you're putting in the right things.
Yeah.
But that's what I use. I use MyFitnessPal.
Yep.
And what I did is I paid $120 for the year.
Okay.
So it's for 12 months. It's super cheap. That allows me to do all the macro tracking. Because the free one doesn't do the macro tracking. It's how
Right.
they get you.
I think Lose It had this one-time thing where if you buy it for a light, you get a lifetime use of it. I think it was like $80 or something.
That's sweet.
And so I bought it once,
Yeah.
and that was like a year and a half ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Never looked back, right? Because
Once
it was
you
a good investment.
Here's the thing. I was using a different app before. I was actually using First Forms app, which I love
Right.
very much. That's Andy Facilities.
Yep, yep.
Love it very much. But then I got on with it. I got on with a coach, and that coach was like, "Here's how we're gonna do it. MyFitnessPal, my app, kind of how you have it structured right
Yep.
now, right?" And I was like, "Cool." So I ditched First Form and I went on to MyFitnessPal. I never really used MyFitnessPal before, and once you start with something, guys, it's super easy to stick with it. Super hard to change.
Yeah.
Especially when you have all your foods dragged in there. Like I have meals saved, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So now it's gonna be very hard for me to switch away from MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
Because I'm invested, not just financially.
Yeah, but you will be, right? That's just how it is.
Yep.
So
So that's what I use for my food. Like Jer said, I have the smartwatch. I track all my steps. I like it because it bugs me throughout the day. It says, "Hey, get up, move your butt."
yeah.
I appreciate that reminder sometimes when you run a desk for a living.
Yeah.
You do sometimes need that reminder of like, oh yeah, I should get up and go for a walk.
Should go do something.
Yeah. And then for my workouts, so what I'm doing right now is I use Evernote. Evernote is like Microsoft's OneNote, any of these note-taking apps that you have. And what I do is every Sunday I sit down and I program myself. Now again, I'm not the smartest dude in the room, but I've also been doing this a while and geeked out about it a while. So what I do is I put together my own workouts, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And I put them in the app on a calendar. So I've got every calendar month of the year on here, and every Sunday I sit down and I mark out the week on when my training's going to be, and then when I'm at the gym, I actually log what the weight is, what the reps are. I'll even take pictures, like if I'm doing treadmill work, I'll take a picture of the screen when I'm done. 'Cause
Right.
It displays, time and calories burnt and all that kind of stuff for however accurate that is.
Right.
That's what I do for my workouts right now. Eventually, I will go back and hire a trainer, end up on one of their apps and stuff like that. But for now, I do my own programming.
Yeah.
But I track. I track everything because I want to have benchmarks.
Yeah. And that's the best way of doing it because your memory is only so good, right? And you might be able to remember your personal best, but sometimes you get mixed up in what was that last week that I did, right? And,
Yeah.
oh, there's something about that.
Heck, I've done it 2 days, like one day to the next.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
But so a great example of benchmarks. Can we talk about that for a second? Because across all of these, I'm going to talk about benchmarks. Because true change, in my opinion, won't come unless you have that benchmark.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're starting with, where you're starting. So today, for example, the way I think about working out when you haven't been in the gym for a decade with large muscles on you, like a bodybuilder or something, right? Is time under tension.
Yeah.
Time under tension, meaning how long you're under the weight or resistance of some kind, right? And so what I do is I do high reps. So most of my stuff is either 4 rounds or 5 rounds of 10 to 15 to 20 reps, depending
Okay.
on what I'm doing. Okay, so high rep count.
Yeah.
And so today I had bench press on my program, and I was benching 30 pounds on the bar. I don't count the bar. Some people count the bar. I don't count the
you
bar.
gotta count the bar.
I
Bar counts. You have
Okay.
to count the bar.
I don't.
Yeah.
I just count weight on the end.
Yeah.
So
Bar counts.
I was benching 30 pounds for 4 by 15.
Okay.
So 4 rounds of 15, which sucked by the end.
Absolutely.
And here's what you don't understand: 30 pounds, not that impressive. But you do 30 pounds 4 times 15. It's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight. Yeah.
And so that's what I talk about when I say time under tension,
Yeah.
right? And so my point in telling everybody that story and to kind of break that out for you how I think about training
Yeah.
is, well, now that's my benchmark for my bench press,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Bench press. Yeah, bench press. So then next time when I go to the gym and have bench press on my thing, I better not be doing 30 pounds. I better at least be doing 35
Right.
or 32 or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you should
Something.
always be progressing.
Well, even there, at some point, like for the last while, I haven't, but I've changed up my workouts, right? So then it's not progressing as in the same way of, oh, my weight's going up because I also went from, well, a lot of things changed. My reps changed, my sets changed, like
Yeah.
going from 4 to 3, going from,
3 sets of what?
well, that's changed too, right?
Okay.
So sometimes it's 6, 8, 12, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 15. So it depends on which workout I'm doing, right? They're variable. Like that's why I say this one
Gotcha.
sucks, right?
Gotcha.
So, and then my rests go from, so I start,
Because you're doing weight work, right?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay.
And then I also make sure when I leave the gym, I have at least 4,000 steps in
Yeah.
and I've done my workout. So, and then I'll do, like, that's kind of my goal for every,
I love that. I love that. And I think too, I just want to say if you don't like the idea of doing weight work or machines or something I also enjoy doing, I use that term loosely, is ladders.
okay,
So body weight,
no thanks.
body weight ladders. So push-ups, air squats, and you do like for example, you start at 10 and then you do 3 rounds at 10. And then you do 3 rounds at 9 and then
Right.
3 rounds at 8. And so by the time you're done, the 3 exercises, you're smoked.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a little bit fun because you're just like, oh, I only have to do 9 this time. Okay, I only 8 this time.
Do that at boxing. Like,
Oh yeah?
yeah, that's how he ends the classes.
Gotcha.
Is we're and so, but even on that, if you don't like the weights, if you don't like
Yeah.
resistance like that, join a class. Whether it's, it could be something like, I don't know what else there's, like some kind of fitness class,
Spin
kickboxing,
class.
spin class. There's
Yeah.
Zumba, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever
Get
you're
moving.
into,
Get
find
moving.
something,
Get moving.
do something fun.
Dude, go look up GoRuck.com. GoRuck.com. If you hate everything we just said, it's a backpack that can hold weight. Very important. And all you do is you put weight in it, you put it on your back, you go for a walk. And there's all sorts of benefits to doing this.
Okay.
And they lay it out on the website for you under Get Started. You can read all about it, read the benefits of it. You know, it opens up your shoulders because it's, you know, the bag pulling on your back because of the weight.
Okay.
All these sorts of things. So, at the very least, go check that out. If you haven't moved in a while, just go for a walk.
Do something and track it.
Track it.
All right. What's next on the agenda?
Next is spiritual health. So this is for our conversation. We love Jesus,
Yes.
and so this would be Bible reading, prayer, going to church, all that kind of stuff.
Journaling, I think. is part of it.
Journaling is definitely a good one. I actually spent some time this morning drinking coffee on the deck
Yeah.
in the sunshine, talking to God in my journal. So let's talk about, do you track how many times a month you go to church?
I don't track. I don't track. So I don't know how to track. I guess you can track that. I guess, but
That's
I don't
what
really.
that's why I wanted to have this discussion. Like,
I think I pay attention to trying to go right. Like this last week I didn't go because I was in Calgary.
Yep.
So I guess I could have went to church in Calgary,
yeah,
but I was attending a conference, so I was at even Sunday morning. I was at a conference, right?
Yeah.
So
which happens.
yeah,
Which
but
happens.
and then
Did you miss it? Did you feel it? Like, honest. Like, did you?
this week.
Because you were busy.
So I didn't necessarily miss it.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, church I haven't really been involved in.
Yep.
I attend, I go, I regularly,
Yeah.
but I'm not
Yeah.
invested, involved in, right?
No.
So
And it's a fairly recent, renewed
yeah,
endeavor.
yeah,
Let's say.
and I feel like I take on a lot, and I'm not trying to take on more. So getting too much involved, like I'm not looking to get very
Yeah.
overly involved, right? But I also do different things. Like I started listening to different kind of this one guy I just started listening to, and he does little 20-minute things, 30-minute things,
Yeah.
and I speed it up so I can hear it
Like,
faster.
like a devotional kind of thing.
Kind of, but this particular one is more about like just the authority of that we have as Christians, right?
Okay.
So it's just a little thing about just teaching about how to walk in that authority,
Yeah.
right? So it's really interesting, it's really good, and so I connect that way. I also connect with different things throughout my day, like I'm praying, and then I
Yeah.
do my devotions at night, and I do my journaling and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I do different things. So it's not like oh, I missed church now, everything's gone wrong.
Yeah.
But it's more of, okay, I didn't get to church this week, and that's okay. It's not like I just sat on the couch or I just laid in bed and waited and whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't get there, so I didn't, and that's okay, right? So
You just listed 3-4 things, and only one of them in my head went, "Oh yeah, I have a checkbox for that."
right,
The rest of them are hard to say. Like, yes, I have a checkbox.
right,
So, look, I haven't been physically to church in a while, so there's no checkbox there.
right,
Prayer, journaling, I don't have a checkbox that says I did it for the day.
yeah,
Right? Devotions, I do have a checkbox, and it's not a checkbox where I like, give myself a gold star or anything. It's because I use the Bible app by lifechurch.tv
okay,
on my phone. It's a little brown one that a lot of people use, and it actually keeps track of
okay,
how many times you've logged, like been in the app,
yeah,
and then also the devotion. Like I read devotionals in there on my phone, and you actually get the dopamine hit because you get to hit a little checkbox when you finish the day's devotional,
okay,
and so it does in some sense track. Excuse me, that you read.
okay,
So again, I'm not sitting here going, yes, I read devotions today.
Right.
But my phone kind of does it for me.
right,
Now, on that note though, I think some sort of OCD geeky people might, check those things off literally. But I think that the way I think about this is doing the same things at the same time.
Yeah.
Having a routine. So in the morning before work, I make breakfast, and I say, I eat my breakfast. And while I'm eating my breakfast, I have this propped up, and I pray and read devotional. And that's kind of how I start my day.
Yeah.
And I know it looks different for everybody, but I think having it at the same time is sort of like your track.
Right.
Right?
So I think there, I'm gonna be a little bit, whatever. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
say it.
let's
with
go.
with Christianity, it's about relationship, right?
100%.
So it's not about a checkbox, and so I think if all it is like, oh, I did this good, I can check that off.
Yeah.
We're missing the point, right?
I
Where
think-
where there's other religions that
Yeah.
you have to follow these.
Well, never mind. You've been
Right.
in churches.
There's other, even Christianity. There's like, well,
Yeah.
did you do this? Did
Yeah.
you do this? Did you? Oh yeah, well I did. They have the same
Yeah.
system, right? So
Yeah.
so that's religion, but Christianity is more relationship, and we kind of, when we get into that relationship aspect, the checkbox, like
It doesn't-
talking with your wife, it's like, are you sitting there every? Did we talk? Check. Did we talk about this? Check. Oh no, we checked it off already. We don't have to deal with that.
So I'm laughing at you because I will say there was
Yeah.
a period in our relationship where I felt, I don't know if she felt it, I felt, and I never communicated this to her, but I felt like I was not doing a good job at communicating my day and my life with her. Right?
Yeah.
Like, how was your day? Good. Meh. Move on with life. Right?
Yeah.
I felt like I was in that trap. So I actually put it in my calendar at the same time every day to actually talk to my wife about how my day went. And like, I'd even jot down a couple of things that happened throughout the day
Okay.
so we could talk about it. I don't do that now,
Right.
but there was a period where
Oh, that's interesting.
I did do that. I didn't check it off when I was done, but I 100% put it in my calendar.
So mentally, you checked it off.
Yeah.
Though you're like,
I
did I
did.
do this? That's
I did.
Done, right?
I did, and it was because, well, two reasons. At the time, I was reading somebody that said everything in your calendar, right? Which makes total sense. Different topic. The other thing was, like I said, I felt like I wasn't doing a good enough job communicating, and so I put it in my phone, in my calendar, to communicate better.
Right.
And it was just my, because when your calendar comes up, it like takes over the screen. It was my physical reminder, hey, do better.
Yeah.
Just, threw my
Just
phone
chuck
on
it.
the floor.
Hey. No.
But that was, yeah, that's why I was laughing, because I've actually done that before.
That's funny.
But I agree with you, and I think that's why a lot of people have a hard time with church. The idea of physically going to church is because they're so concerned about they're going to judge me. There's too many rules, too many check boxes. You know, I don't want to wear fancy clothes. Whatever the
Right.
thing is, right? Like there's a laundry list. But at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. It's about relationship with Jesus and you. And I mean, if you read your Bible, corporate worship is super important,
It is.
right? Like hundreds of times in the Bible it talks about that. But at the end of the day, I think that it's probably good that you don't have too many check boxes for that area in your life.
Well, and maybe you do need a check box to get you to get there. So
Yeah.
maybe that's
Put
part of it.
Put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Put it on your calendar. Yeah, I think that if you want to do better in that area, you can put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Or a reminder on your phone, or something. Put it on your fridge. I
Well,
don't
some
know.
people have a bedtime reminder, right? So they
Yeah.
put it on there like, hey, devotions.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
10 minutes before that or something. Whatever, right? Like just
I even, like there have been different times too where I've even put like play with the kids
Yeah.
in my calendar. Not because it's scheduled for 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, but because I just wanted that extra bump to remind me to be intentional.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're talking about. It's intentionality.
absolutely. Yeah.
Should we move on?
Let's
move
do
on.
it. Yeah.
The next one is mental health. So mental health, when I say mental health, what I'm talking about is what are the words you're using to yourself? What are the books you're reading, the podcasts you listen to? Like, what are you putting in your brain? And how are you talking to yourself? That's what I'm talking about.
Right. That's a hard one to check off. Like that's to track that is, but I think realistically, if you actually paid more attention to how you talk to yourself day in, day out, and I'm very guilty of this, especially this last week.
Me too.
It's been a very rough week as far as that goes.
Yeah.
A lot of things just kind of crashed, and it just was like everything inside me was just like, give up and just whatever. But it's like no,
It's crazy how quickly, like, you build all this awesome momentum
yeah,
in life, just in general.
yeah,
It's amazing to me because I'm in the exact same boat. Like, I feel you. Is one thing, and I know for you this week it wasn't just one thing.
yeah,
But how many times one thing just sends us right back
absolutely.
into that I'm not good enough. I gotta quit. I gotta, like, whatever that story is. Like, it
Yeah.
just
100%. And I think, but now taking a step back and realizing, look back over the last 6 months, the last year, the last couple of years. Okay, look at the growth. It's going like this, up and down. You have your ups and downs,
yeah.
but it's going up overall, right? So we're just in a down right now,
Yeah.
but we're going to bounce back up, and we know that because this is how we've seen it go, right?
Well, I think for you, not taking your foot off the gas, because work-wise is what you're talking about. Having
Right now, yeah.
right now. And so I think as long as you don't take your foot off the gas, you keep pushing forward. Because that, in sales, that is always the detrimental thing.
Yeah.
So you have a bad week, you take your foot off the gas, you lose your momentum,
Yep.
and then 6 months later, you're like in a bad spot
Because you took your foot off,
because
right?
you took your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
I think it's good to recognize those bad weeks, though. So one
But-
thing, sorry.
I'm gonna just go.
Yeah,
But one
keep
thing
going.
that even in that, so in going to mental health, like
Yeah.
when something and I'm realizing, maybe I'm just really hoping that I'm right on this one. I've been taught, or told enough times, but when you're facing massive amounts of resistance,
Yeah.
it's because something's coming, right? And
Yes.
so when you're fighting and fighting, and I have a very good friend, and he said like this week's just been one of the roughest weeks he's had since he can remember.
Yeah.
And we're very close in that where this is just a really bad week and we're just both like fighting it. Oh, and we just know that. And one thing we said to each other was like there's something good is going to be coming yet. We just got to push and just push. And so we encourage each other. And so mental health, it's something to do. It's also have somebody to track with, be accountable with, right?
Yeah.
And have that, so you can have that conversation. It's like, how are you doing, man? Right? Because he said he was having a rough week. I'm like, how you doing, right? So
Well, let's talk about benchmarks in that realm.
Sure.
Like, if it's just you and you're doing all the tracking, you're doing all the benchmarks, you're in your own head, you're in your own journal, whatever, you can continually have bad weeks. Okay?
Yeah.
Follow me here. But when you have someone else in your life or some other people in your life, good people,
Yeah.
to hold you accountable, if you have a bad week, the dude's like, yeah, that sucks, keep pushing. You know, when there's resistance, a breakthrough's coming. You know, they can talk you off the ledge and talk you through it.
Yeah.
But now if you come to them and you go, I'm having a bad week, I'm having a bad week, I'm having a... And all of a sudden you've had a bad month and a bad quarter, whatever, you know, at a certain point, that good friend, that good accountability partner is going to be like, yo, Jay, why do you keep saying you're having bad weeks? Like, it's okay. Like, a bad week is okay.
Right.
Several in a row is not. Like, something's going on with you.
Yeah.
Either external or internal, something's going on because you can't have that many bad weeks in a row. You know? And so I think from a benchmark perspective is how many times are you showing up saying, oh, what was me?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so using that as a benchmark, because we don't see it in ourselves, right? But somebody else will. Like if I continually come to Jared and I'm like, Jared, like things are rough, we're going through it, no progress is being made. And I tell you that week in and week out, because of who you are, eventually you're gonna be like, I'm gonna challenge you.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What are you doing to change it?
Yeah.
Right?
And you've done that to me before, because you're a good friend.
Yeah.
But you need that. You need those people in your life so they can help you create those benchmarks in this particular area. Because in my opinion, we can't do it ourselves. Like we're
Right.
too close to everything.
It's we get too caught up in life and you can't see the forest from the trees kind of thing, right? So
Yeah. So on a more lighter note, talking about tracking and stuff. So I track the books I read.
okay.
And Audible, which I know we both use, actually gives you like little badges as you read certain amounts of books and things like
Right,
that.
yeah.
And it actually tracks how many books you've read. You can actually you can go look at that.
Yeah.
Right? And so kind of in a fun way, like I do track what I read.
Okay.
Like again, just and I'm not going for most books read or anything like that, but I track what I read and I make notes on what I read, things like that. So
Yeah.
I do track.
Well, that's a good way of doing it too, right? And like I think one of the better ways for mental health is having somebody accountable that you can talk to. Somebody, that might even be a counselor and such, a psychologist, whatever you like, right?
Yeah.
And just say, hey, look at the progress you made. Like you're not where you started.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so we're making somewhere, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta go through the weeds to get there, but you'll get there, right? So
I think a way of tracking too could be journaling.
I agree.
And so in this realm, I start my day with gratitude, prayer, all these things, right?
Yeah.
I don't do this as a practice right now. I have in the past though, where I actually bookend my day, where I'll journal out how the day go, what did I do. I think that is a good tracking mechanism for what you got accomplished for the day, but also where your head's at.
Yeah.
And you can actually, you can flip back and go, oh, on January 2nd, I was not in a good place and I lost 2 deals and, whatever the case.
Yeah.
But now I'm up 6 deals and my family life is awesome. And, right, like you can have that contrast and,
Yes.
and that tracking sort of in that journal. So that might be something you guys want to look at when you're thinking about how do I work on, the voice in my head? How do I work on, evolving my position mentally? Do some journaling.
and also be aware of what you say, like kind of going full circle, right? That's what you say.
I actually been doing work on that this last couple weeks, last month probably, because I noticed about a month ago that my self talk was starting to
Yeah,
wane a little bit to the negative. So okay, gotta bring that back. So then I queued up some podcasts
there you go.
and things to kind of they talk through that.
Yeah.
Some Joe Dispenza stuff
Oh, there you go.
and things of that nature, just to it's a good reminder once in a while, right? Like
Yeah.
always learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Always learning.
Exactly.
Next is relationship health. And on this one, all I want to say is, men, you should be dating your significant other, and it should be on the calendar.
I'm guilty of that one. That's
Me too.
that's
Me too. I'm saying that slightly hypocritical, like our last podcast. I don't do a great job with this.
Nope.
I have in the past, but I struggle because life has gotten in the way.
Yeah.
Right?
totally.
Like you're a prime example of this, right? So kids, you got more than I do, and they all have different activities, different things going on. Now, granted, they're a little bit older, so they can take care of themselves a little bit better than mine.
Yeah.
But some days you're going in multiple directions, doing multiple things for them and yourself.
Yeah.
And so, even though you might have day night scheduled on the calendar, it's like, well, oh shoot, we're at a cheer competition. Oh shoot. And it's not that you like plan that on purpose.
Nope.
It's just, oh, I thought that was at 7 or, whatever. And so that's what I've struggled with.
Quite honestly, sometimes it's because I do real estate.
Yeah.
Then you do town council, right? And then you have kids activities, and so sometimes it's just like tired.
Yeah,
You're just done, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I did put a priority on that, and I should have, and I didn't, right?
Yeah.
And so that's me owning it, saying, look, that was my bad. I
Yeah.
didn't do that, right? And so learning that, and I still have to learn this one. I'm struggling with that one, right?
Yeah.
It's just because I like to be busy. I don't like to just
Yes.
sit, right?
That's why we're here at 9:45 on a Friday evening,
Yeah,
rocking and rolling,
Yeah.
because we both had full days.
full days.
I think Lita and I, like my wife, we just had this conversation. What I said to her was, we maybe need to have some coffee dates.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because historically, a day night's like going out to dinner.
Yeah.
Having a good long conversation about children. Maybe grabbing some ice cream after or coffee or something,
Yeah.
whatever, and just making an evening out of it. We like to go look at books, so we go to Chapters or Indigo or
Okay.
whatever. But I said to her, because we haven't been out in a while, just life is busy.
Yeah.
We're in a busy season. I said to her, I'm like, maybe we just need to do coffee dates more often. Like we'll take the van because then the kids can be in the back.
Yeah.
We can put a movie on or music on, and that could be the back.
Yeah.
Shift the speakers to the back, and we can just drive around for a little while. And yeah, it burns a little bit of gas, but get something in, because I know how important being intentional with time is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's one that, and I think a lot of men struggle with that. I think it's just not that we're unique. I think it's a common thing. Is
We don't do a good job of prioritizing.
No.
And it's I was at the office all day, super busy. Then I had a council meeting, super busy. Come home, don't even want to eat dinner. Like I'm done, right? And I'm picking on you because you're my co-host and you're
Yeah.
sitting here, but you're done. But you should still probably get a day night in.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe that's you walk up the road for some ice cream or something, like if it fits in your macros.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But we have that thought sometimes. And then we go, nah, I'm going to bed.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm just-
And look, should you go to bed? Probably. But I think sometimes it's that sacrifice of, no, my significant other needs this. I need this. We need to connect without the kids
Yeah.
like in our business, because I know you've got one little one right now in the house.
Yeah.
But like my 6-year-old, my 9-year-old, they are always like, "Hey mom, hey dad, hey mom, hey
Yeah.
dad." Like from the time they get up to the time they go to bed, I love them. Bless their hearts. But to try and have
Yeah.
an adult conversation longer than 30 seconds is difficult.
Yeah, it's not easy, right? So, no, and that's just it. But we're back to what we talked about earlier: is prioritizing.
Yeah.
It matters. Prioritizing. That's how you. That's how you, like you said,
Yeah.
put it on the calendar. You check it, and you can see.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. Did you do it? Did you not?
So I'm going to say something as we move into the next one, which is business health.
All right.
Nope. Yeah, business health. Our fifth and last one. So I heard it said one time that you should ask yourself if you would hire yourself. You know, if you're struggling to get clients, if you're struggling to do whatever the thing is, ask yourself, would you hire yourself? And it just came to my mind. But if you look at physical health, right? Would you hire yourself to be in good shape? I know it sounds silly, but just work with me here.
Yeah.
Spiritual health. Would you hire yourself to have a good relationship with God? Would you hire yourself to be a significant other, a husband, a father? Would you hire yourself?
Right.
Right? Business health. Obviously, that one's easy. You know, would you hire yourself to sell houses? Right? And if the answer is no to any of those, you get some work to do.
Yep.
But guess what? It's not impossible. You just have some work to do. So on the business health side, talking about tracking, we're going to dissect you because you're here and it's easy.
Easy target. Yeah.
Easy target. You do sales.
Yes.
And you work for an office. And that office has metrics that they would like to hit, you know, every 3, 6, 12 months.
Yes.
That trickles down to you. And you have goals and numbers that you want to hit, you know, monthly, quarterly.
Yeah.
Biannually and annually.
Yeah.
So you have to do things, knock doors, cold calls, networking,
All the fun things.
all the fun things. So what you have to do is you have to track those fun things to understand the benchmark of 10 phone calls gets me 1 appointment.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if that's the stat. I'm just making that up. But do you have 10 phone calls to 1 appointment? Do you know that?
So this has always been my weakness, is tracking that aspect. Doing systems is something I'm learning to do, and
You're getting better.
I'm definitely improving from where I was. I have things set up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to keep up, just to remember it, right?
Yeah.
And so then, but I have things set up where I have it as a reminder on my computer that it pops up as like, hey, you have to call so and so, or hey, you
Good.
have to do that. So okay, so I got that.
That is the power of the CRM.
Yeah, so I have that kind of stuff set up and in place. So that's
Yep.
the good thing. But that doesn't mean I also don't, I forgot to put that one in there. Oh, I forgot. Or I focused so much on this, I lost sight of that, right? So I say that to say I need to really improve in different areas, right? I need growth, I need to.
For those of you listening, Jeremy's making excuses right now.
No, that's not excuses, it's the truth. I need to grow in those areas, right?
Yeah.
And recognizing my weaknesses,
Yeah.
but also recognizing, well, where I was, well, I'm better than that. So there's growth, right? So
And that's what I'm getting at here. So sales is super easy as an example, but I'll walk through something else here in a second. But from a sales perspective, you need to know X number of outreach gets you X number of appointments.
Yeah.
X number of appointments in your particular case in real estate, X number of appointments gets you X number of listings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then the math is super easy. Oh, I just need to double down on my calls if I want to double down on my listings.
yes,
Right? Now, say you're not in sales. How do you look at this? Well, you look at it the same way. Your job is to get a particular outcome. What are the things you have to do to get that particular outcome? right? Like for me as a purchaser, I have to get the best price, the best service, fastest lead time potentially, depending on what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Which means that I have to call vendors. I have to call a certain amount of vendors to get a certain outcome to win.
Yeah.
Now, is it like sales where it's like, oh, I have to call 5 vendors, 10 vendors? No, because I've done this a while now and I'm pretty good at what I do. And so I've got my 3 guys that I know I need to call. But the fact of the matter is, do I call them?
Right.
Right? Do I call them to get the outcome?
And put it yourself. And so you can even do that in even any other businesses. If you're working for somebody and they're like, hey, you have to hit this goal. This is your goal.
Yeah.
Well, what do you have to do to hit that goal?
Yeah.
Is it putting an X amount of nails in the board? Is it like whatever it is, right? Like, is it?
And then do a little more.
Yeah.
And
Is
then
it
do
stocking that shelf to this point? Is it doing whatever your point is? Whatever you're doing.
You know, just do everything with excellence and make sure that you're tracking what you're doing. And the thing is, if you're working a regular job, like you're kind of self-employed.
Yeah.
Right? So you're only accountable to yourself. But if you don't do the thing, you don't get paid.
I don't get paid.
Right? Some people out there can kind of half mail in what they do and still get paid.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you want to get better, and if you're listening to this, I hope you want to get better. That's what the point of this is.
Yeah.
If you want to get better, you have to start tracking some things. And maybe it's not for your existing employer that you're tracking. Maybe it's so that when you go to the new job, you can say to your new employer, hey, because I tracked all these things, look what I was able to accomplish. Like, you know, you've got a track record there
Yeah.
because you've been tracking some things. You know what to think about that.
Yeah. It's the more you can track, the better off you are to hit your goals. Whether that's in business, whether that's physical,
Yeah.
spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, whatever it is. When you're tracking it, you can see the growth,
Or not.
or not, or you can say, hey, I've been making a lot of excuses for
Yeah.
this. And that's why this has been this.
So something I like to do is roughly once a month. I actually write out the 5 key health indicators, and I kind of go through them and I say, you know, am I growing in this area? Yes, and how?
Yeah.
No, and why? And then I see kind of over that month, oh, you know, I've gone up in this area, but I've dipped in this one.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time I got to bring this up. So okay, so if this area is dipped, what do I need to bring it up? Right.
Yeah.
So for example, this last month, I noticed, like I talked about, relationship health dipped a bit. So my relationship with my wife dipped a little bit. So in my opinion,
Yeah.
she didn't necessarily think that.
Right.
But that's my opinion. So I said, okay, what do I need to do? I need to have a conversation with her about this. I need to come up with some sort of creative way to solve this problem. And that was suggesting we do more coffee dates.
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
just quick, you know, half hour, 45-minute connections. Right? Now, we haven't done any of those yet because it's very recent.
Right.
But this is why I kind of do this on a monthly basis. It's just sort of like a check-in. And it's not like I pull out a map and a spreadsheet and like correlate numbers and do some math. Like, no, I just physical health. How did it go this last month? Well, I joined a gym and I went to the gym this many times and I'm starting to look a little better, feel a little better,
Yeah.
whatever, right? I'm a little more regular, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
And I just go through every single one of them and I look for dips. Because when you've got the 5 key health indicators, you're not 100 all the time.
Right.
Right? You're just not. Nobody is.
No.
And so I almost view it as a game. Oh, I'm up here. Cool. I'm down here. Oh, I'm down there? What do I need to do to bring it back up?
Right. So, do you think it's important to have them all up, or is there some that, well, if it drops a little bit, you're okay with?
I think you should never be okay.
Okay.
But I think that you should also logically be aware of the fact that some things will dip. So if you have a season, and this is what I believe about life, in life there are seasons. God gives us seasons.
Yeah.
And some seasons are restful seasons, some seasons are joyful seasons, some seasons are busy as all get 'em. And sometimes in those busy seasons, those productive seasons, some of these other things are going to dip.
Yeah.
Like, hey, babe, we're not going to do a date night for a few months because I really got to grind through this next few months to get these deals done, or to get this business off the ground, or whatever it is, right?
Right,
Or
yeah.
I'm going back to school, or something, right? So then the relationship health dips a little bit. Now, to be fair, on that note, I just want to say relationship health also relates to friends, other family members, things like that. So that might be you just saying to your friends, "Hey guys, see ya.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna see you in a while. I got some things to do."
Yeah.
Right? No, I do think you need to know that logically some of these things will dip when others go up. But ultimately, we should be trying to get them all up.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think it should be a process of trying to get everything
Yeah.
growing, right? Yeah.
It's a process. It's a process. You're not going to go to the gym tomorrow and be super ripped and have a six-pack set of abs overnight.
Yeah.
Same way, if you've let your relationship with your wife slide for months and years,
It's just gonna go.
you're not going to have a great relationship overnight because you did one date night.
Yeah.
One date night and a good piece of steak is not going to fix months or years of mediocre. Right? It's just not going to happen.
Agreed. Yeah.
And every area is like that. So if you've been negative self-talk for years, you think that one set of gratitudes or one journal session is going to fix that?
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Like, it's just not going to happen.
It's gonna be building those new habits,
Yes.
and the best way to build new habits,
Track.
track it.
Set some benchmarks.
There you go.
And on the negative talk, can we touch on that for a second?
Sure.
So I recently have become very aware, like I'm a very self-aware person, but recently I've become very aware of my negative self-talk and the actual pause in my brain that now happens of like, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Stop that. And then reverting to some
Right.
sort of positive talk. And Jeremy and I are not talking, guys, about always stopping going, I am awesome. I am great. Which there's a place for that. I do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes yelling at myself in the car.
But to simply say, "Oh, okay," no, that's I just don't want to talk to myself like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like that. Sometimes having that in place, this I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I would hate it if somebody talked to my kids or my spouse that way. Like that's changing. Everything's changing on that, right? So
Yeah.
why would I allow
Yeah.
somebody to talk to somebody I love like that?
Yeah.
Why don't I love
If
myself?
someone
Right.
talked to you the way that you talk to you probably want to lay the beat down on,
Yeah.
right? And like sometimes it's as simple as going, no, that's dumb. Like to yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like your brain says something and you just stop and go, no, that's dumb.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
But you have to change that frame.
Yeah.
You have to. And so it's very interesting to me where as you start to work on these things, you become a little bit more aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like when you start to see your muscles grow in the gym or feel them grow in the gym
Totally.
because you can lift more weight or you see it in the mirror when you're, getting ready in the morning. It's the same way with your mental health and relationship health. All these things.
Yeah.
You start being hyper aware. Like some of the more emotional things is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You start feeling them more inside going, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Because some of these things like physical health or business health, you can measure by the numbers. Can't do that with a lot of the other ones. But you can still measure.
You still measure. There's still a way of doing it, right? So
There's always a way.
Yeah.
I don't know who said it first or where I heard it first, but I love the phrase, everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
Everything is figure outable. And on that note,
absolutely.
guys, we love you. Everything is figure outable. Track, measure, have a baseline.
You got this.
You got it. See you later.